What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I am your host, Chris Raybon, and I'm joined by the Prime Minister of Degeneration to preview some NFL 2025. It's my guy, Stuckey. Stuck, what is going on? How you feeling? Glad to be back with you.
Yeah, we're getting ever so closer to the start of the season. I'm itching for football. We'll get some college football this weekend. Make sure you check out our week 0 betting preview, Big Bets on Campus. Go through every game there. But I'm excited to go through all 32 teams here. Some just updated conversations from the last time we talked. Some injuries, some things have changed. And it looks like there's probably still going to be a couple more moves, which we'll try to hint at. Or try to guess on who's like, look, I mean, you got potential defensive players of the year still out there that could be on the move in Hendrickson and Parsons and what's going to happen with McLaurin. Like there's still a lot of major contributors, star players that could be moved from between now and the start of the season. So a lot to talk about. I'm excited to go through all 32 teams and try to find some updated winners with the market as far as where it stands now, but just couldn't be happier, couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, man, it's a pretty active preseason, I must say. Just trades and potential trades and guys, on the trading block. I don't know the last time I've heard like such an active trading block where teams are serious. So yeah, it should be good. All right, no surprises, folks. The NFL season kicks off in 2 weeks, and to get most out of the award-winning Action Network app, you're going to want an Action Pro subscription because only Pro subscribers are going to get real-time pick alerts from experts such as myself, Brandon Anderson, Stuckey, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by my guy, Sean Kerner, the odds maker. A ton of other benefits as well. So to celebrate football's return, we have got a special offer. Just go to the Action Network app or go to actionnetwork.com/pro and you can get $20 off the annual price with promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. I will start AFC South and AFC East in this episode. So got to switch it up a little. I feel like everyone always goes, East, North, and then West, whatever it is, Southwest. So we'll start with the AFC South here. And the Houston Texans are still expected to be the cream of the crop there. Stuck. How are you feeling about this Texan squad, new offensive coordinator with CJ Stroud in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of Slowick, which I think was a good move. His play calling, especially on early downs, was just so poor. You bring in Caleb from the McVay tree. So you're kind of going like Shanahan to McVay here. I think that could only be a positive. You also added some weapons. And last year, the weapons were just so poor because of injuries. Like they lost Tank Dell. Stephon Diggs got hurt. So it was just Nico Collins, who also missed a couple games. It was just Nico Collins and who else? So they went out, they got Christian Kirk. They bring in the Iowa State duo, who they were the only duo in college football that had 1,000 yards. Which is
Jaden Noel and Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, yep. Noel and Higgins. So they have some more weapons, but my fear is, number one, what's going on with Joe Mixon? That's one thing, and it doesn't sound great. And I don't think Chubb has much left. So will they be able to get that running game to give them more balance? And then the offensive line is still a major worry. Like they're basically restarting the offensive line, and like Ken Ursery, the rookie, hit at right tackle. You got Cam Robinson, who's meh at left tackle, definitely a drop off from Tunsil, who went to Washington. And then it's like a bunch of just meh vets, like Andrews, Tomlinson, Ingram. Like I don't know if this offensive line got better, and it might have gotten worse. So that might just doom them again. The defense should be really good. It's one of the best in the NFL, but which we'll talk about throughout this episode, just because you're a dominant defense one year, it's not as consistent as offense. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be as dominant. Now, I like all the pieces, and on paper, it should be really good. And that is the strong suit of D'Amico Ryans. But going into last year, who were the two of the most dominant defenses supposed to be? The Jets and the Browns, right? Like they were supposed to be nails all year, and they had very disappointing years, and their secondaries just did not live up to expectations and came nowhere close to the production that we saw in 2023. So who knows if the defense will be as good, but on paper, it looks really good. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I believe, is good to go. Looked like I thought he was going to be out for the year, but they got him back. I look Petrie at nickel, I think, is when their defense is at their best. They missed him when he got hurt last year, but you got Stingley, Lassiter. Like they have all the pieces. Then you obviously have Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. Like you can't really nitpick much on this defense, but we don't know if it's going to be at the same level. As far as, but I think it's just going to be the offensive line probably holds them back again. Their win total implied is sitting at like 9.35, 9.5, slightly under. I project them 9.4. Have no interest in backing them to win the division. I don't think that there's any value there, so I'm looking elsewhere. And I also think that the Titans were a disaster this year. We're going to talk about them in a sec. They should be better this year, just that quarterback alone. The Jags should be better under Liam Cohen. Not sure about the Colts, but we'll talk about them. But the schedule will get tougher overall compared to last year. And I fear that offensive line. They do get what could make or break this is they do get some breaks early on in the schedule. So, you get Cam Ward at home early on within the first 4 weeks. So, like, rookie quarterback, there's a lot of change on Tennessee. But you're at the Rams week 1. They have injury concerns, left tackle, but most importantly, Stafford. Like, is Stafford going to be ready to go week 1? That could be a huge break. One of your tougher road games. You get week 1 and Stafford might not be ready to go. He might be really rusty. We'll see. And then you get the Bucs week 2 at home. They won't have Tristan Wirfs. They're dealing with injuries at wide receiver. So that beginning part of the schedule, which, it's not easy on paper at the Rams, Bucs at home, at the Jags, then home against Tennessee, at Baltimore before your bye. You might get some breaks based on what other teams are dealing with. But main concern is the offensive line and might hold them back again. But rightful favorite of the division, but no interest in any bets, unders, or for the division for me.
Yeah, I think Houston is just too overpriced in a division that there's just not really a standout team, in my opinion. I think, to your point, Houston's defense is great. Defense regresses more. Their offensive line, I think, definitely got worse. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball very well. You're learning a new offense. So even the weapons, like we're talking weapons, we're talking Christian Kirk, who's a guy who's past his prime and struggled with injuries last year. And you're talking about 2 rookies. So, and you have Stroud behind what will probably be a shaky offensive line. And we saw his floor, or, what we think is his floor last year, but now he's learning a new offense. So I don't know if it will come as easy and right away, to your point about the schedule being tough early. So plus they're around even money to win the division. That's a no-go for me. I think you have to look elsewhere. And I think that elsewhere is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they have enough talent on defense to eventually kind of just do enough, because I think their offense is going to be a lot better. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to kind of go the way of Mayfield last year. I like their top 2 receivers. I think, even they're getting more out of Washington. They're getting, Diami Brown was a guy last year that came on down the stretch for the Commanders. So I think their offense will be a lot better, and I think they can win shootouts. And if Houston just kind of hovers around that 500 place that they were, 500 area that they were last year, I think their point differential was essentially dead even, heading into the playoffs, and then they blew out the Chargers. But I think the Jaguars are the play at 3-1. How are you feeling about Jacksonville now that we've gone through a couple of preseason games? We've kind of seen, or at least got a better sense of what Hunter is going to do offensively. He's probably going to be close to a full-time player there, if healthy. What do you think about the Jaguars this season?
Yeah, I like the Jags. I mean, I bet if you listen to our first episode earlier this summer, I bet them, and you follow along in the Action Network app. I did bet them. They're over. You get over 7.5, like close to even money, or minus 110, minus 115 ish. I project them to win 8, so I do show value in the over. And yeah, I mean, if there was one team that could have a bounce, just regression wise, is the Jags went 3-10 in 1-score games last year. They only forced 9 turnovers. That like never happened. 9 turnovers. They only recovered 2 fumbles. So like, if a team's going to get bounces, it could be the Jags this year. But their defense was a disaster last year. Bottom 3 defense against one of the easiest schedules of opposing offenses in the NFL. But I like them. The coaching was such a disaster last year. You have players coming out and trashing how things were operating. Wingard has some couple scathing quotes about the defensive staff, and like I don't know what they were doing trying to run so much man. They went from running man third of the time to 60%. So new DC, I think, is an upgrade. You'll get more zone, which does fit their defense better, and their defense has more potential this year. Like the front 7 is decent enough. The questions are all in the secondary. Like the safety play was so bad last year. Like Wingard, I think, gives you like a higher floor. You bring in Murray. Like the safeties aren't going to wow you. The corners have to be better. They had Jordan Lewis is a pretty good nickel, but Jerry Jones was good at the nickel spot last year, which is weird. They're going to kick him out, and I like the potential he was showing there. So like, can he take that outside corner spot? Tyson Campbell has to live up to his potential as the one. But then you also have this wild card of Travis Hunter. When is he going to play defense? How often? That can only provide upside. So we'll see. I mean, he's obviously not going to be a full-time defensive player, but he's going to get snaps there. So the defense is still going to be – it's not going to be a great defense by any stretch, but I think that they can be better than last year, although it's not a very high bar to clear. And then I'm just believing in Liam Cohen. Everywhere he goes, he elevates the offense tremendously. I'm excited about this wide receiver room, adding in Hunter. The offensive line still leaves a lot to be desired, but you bring in Hainsey at center, who's okay. You bring in Macari from the Ravens, who's decent enough. The good thing with Macari, he can play all 5 positions. So if you have someone go down, he can play tackle. So having a guy like that is pretty valuable. But I'm just trusting in Cohen. Big staff upgrade, weak division. The schedule is pretty hard early, but it does get easy late. So they just gotta hang on. And then 5 of your last 6, you have the Titans, Colts, and Jets. Make up 5 of your last 6 games. So yeah, they should get. Be nice if I would like to see Mason Smith make a leap at defensive tackle, but probably due for some regression. Big coaching upgrade. Trust in Liam Cohen. Defense should be better schematic fit. And I think they'll be in the mix to win this division. And so I'm with you. Jags division, Jags to make the playoffs, I bet, and Jags over 7.5 wins.
Yeah, that 3-1 to win the division is very, very. I love that bet because you usually don't get a 3-1 or better on a team that I think is legitimately right there. And I mean, look at the defense. They can rush the passer. I think that's with Walker, with Allen, Armstead's up there. I think they'll be able to rush the passer. I think their cornerback room could end up being stacked. I mean, guys are kind of banged up right now, so that could be an issue. But you got guys who can rush the passer at least starting out. You got guys who can cover. I like we already saw Cam Little hit a 70-yarder. Liam Cohen's bringing that to Jacksonville. Like he's just going to do outside the box stuff that's going to increase their their chances of winning, I think. So
yeah, I agree.
This
is there. I think
that
there would be a better schematic fit too, with more zone for this team. I don't know what they were doing last year.
Yeah, they were terrible. Both sides of the ball. They were antiquated coaching staffs, terrible coaching.
Man, with that secondary last year was a disaster. The one question I do have for you is, how do you see this? Because Cohen is always he's going to be so good with the backs and being creative with them. Are you high on Tootin? How do you see that playing out?
I think that looking at what Cohen did last year, Bucky Irving was a day 3 pick. Week 1, Bucky Irving already was getting double-digit touches. He plays his rookies.
Yeah,
Cam
Allen
Johnson.
too is interesting. Allen was good out of the backfield at Syracuse too. Like that.
Yeah, exactly. Quinn Allen, right. So what I think is going to happen, we're seeing all these trades this year. This seems to be a much more active trade, trading year. I think you could see Bigsby. At first, ETN was the guy they were saying, the whispers, they didn't want him. Now I feel like Bigsby is the guy that doesn't fit. He got a start last game in preseason. Now everyone was moving him up their fantasy boards. When I see a guy like that get a start, I'm almost like, they're showing him off for something. Like, they're trying to increase his value. So I think Bigsby might end up on a different team.
Bears.
But yeah, I think ultimately Tootin will be a top 2 option with either ETN or Bigsby. But I think it's going to be,
Allen.
The Browns.
No, you said a top 2 option with ETN or Bigsby, but you meant Allen.
No, Tootin.
No, I know. Whatever. Dude.
Oh, so you think both of them?
You think Bigsby's gone?
Yeah. I think Bigsby's gone. I think ETN would still play like ETN would be Rachaad White. I think Tootin would be Bucky Irving, and I think the third back would be what Sean Tucker was for the Bucs last year, where he didn't play much when guys were healthy, but when guys were hurt, he could come in and give you a buck on the ground. So I think that's how that's going to set up, but we'll see. But either way, I think the talent there's a massive influx of talent, massive influx of coaching wisdom, and especially for Trevor Lawrence. We didn't even really talk about him, but you saw Lawrence, one of the worst in terms of yards after catch on his completions, one of the worst when he releases the ball in under 2.5 seconds. That's on your scheme. That's on your supporting cast. That's on your coaching staff to get guys open in space. Red zone. Even though Lawrence is league average in most passing yardage metrics and whatever, touchdowns always down. Cohen took Baker Mayfield from league average to over 30% red zone touchdowns in the mid 30s. That's monstrous. I think Liam Cohen's going to bring the situational offense for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to bump that a ton. I think Lawrence will have a lot more help this year. I think he'll get a lot more after the catch from his receivers. So that's ultimately going to be the key, because in this division, it's wide open. The quarterback's going to have to play well, and I think Lawrence can. And then with the Colts, I'm just the fact that they're going with Daniel Jones, they're not in a good place. You're just not in a good place. Daniel Jones is the guy that got benched, that got cut for Tommy DeVito, and then the Vikings didn't even they ended up going with Sam Howell instead of bringing him back. So I think the Titans could be better than the Colts this year if things go really bad, and even if they don't. But the Titans, they have some of their own issues with the offensive line and the Snead. They're not getting anything out of it. Any thoughts on just separating those two teams? Who do you think is the true last place team in the division, the Colts or the Titans?
I think it's going to end up being the Colts. I project the Colts 7.4, which is close to their win total, but I want nothing to do with them. I mean, they did bring in Lou Anarumo. You got rid of Gus Bradley. That's huge. But I mean, Lou Anarumo might be overrated. It might have been some of his staff for that 2-year run. But I mean, the Bengals defense personnel wasn't great. He's definitely going to be an upgrade because they're just not going to run the same basic stuff.
Yeah, Gus Bradley was the worst. For people that don't know, the reason why we always bring this up is Gus Bradley would just run essentially cover 3, and everyone knew every week that if you were facing Gus Bradley, you were just going to get a shit ton of cover 3 and
plain cover 3, nothing exotic, and that didn't change anything. Slow to adjust in game. I mean, it's going to be Daniel Jones all year.
They say I'm not buying that. Well, Daniel Jones got cut in what was it, week 10 last year? Come on, he's not. If anything, Riley Leonard will make starts
on Richardson. From everything he's saying, I mean, I don't think Richardson's any good, but I'm shocked they're not just giving him a chance. Yeah. Maybe they're just tanking and indirectly to get their quarterback next year. But why would you? It's not like Richardson started a full season of games. But
RIP to Irsay, but I mean they are kind of under new ownership, right? So maybe something did change. Who knows? That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, they lost a couple offensive linemen. Braden Smith, I'm not sure what's going on with that situation or if he's going to be good to go all year. They have some weapons, some skill position weapons. They added Tyler Warren. So, there's some pieces on the offense, but we know who Daniel Jones is, and they probably got worse on the offensive line, losing Kelly and Freeze to Minnesota. And then defensively, their defensive line is still good, and it's deep. Linebackers, meh. questionable. Secondary got better because you bring in Charvarius Ward, you bring in Cam Bynum, and then you have Kenny Moore at nickel, but it's still not a great secondary. So it's just a meh defense. The defensive line is going to have to dominate and stay healthy. So yeah, this is just I don't. There's no ceiling with this team with Daniel Jones. Like, so they lose a home game to Europe, which isn't ideal. It's just a team they're just managed so poorly. They're run so poorly. All of the decisions they made. At least Ballard went out and like added some secondary guys this year, which he hasn't done in years when they needed to. But yeah, I project right on the win total. Like, I don't see the upside. Not betting the under, but I think the Titans and the Jags are much more intriguing with potential opening in this pretty wide open division, much more than people might think.
Yeah, with the Titans, it just comes down. I mean, you could look at a lot of different things with them, but it ultimately comes down to a quarterback can change an organization really quickly. And, that's why we like the Jags, because we think Lawrence can be kind of a different guy with Liam Cohen. Cam Ward, I don't think he's where Jaden Daniels, I really like Jaden Daniels. I was saying he should be the rookie of the year, over Caleb, or at least a bet before the season. But Ward, I feel like he'll be solid. He'll definitely be an upgrade over. I mean, they were piss poor, so I don't think they'll lose you money every week, Stuckey, if you bet on them like they did for us last year. But I'm not as high on them as, even Denver last year. I was high on Denver. I'm just I think the Titans are the second best bet if you're looking at this division to win the division as a long shot. I think they're the second best bet after the Jaguars, but I'm mostly interested in the Jags because I think there's an opening for them to just score a lot of points, and their defense won't even matter.
Yeah, I mean, their defense wasn't terrible last year, and they got no help from the offense, and they were pretty unlucky. I mean, this team in general was very unlucky, and they had no quarterback play. So, I'm a big believer that no one really knows how a rookie's going to do. For example, I mean, I have no clue. I thought I didn't think Daniels was going to be great. Shows how much I know.
That was your Cliff bias, though. I always got to just try to rein that in for you, because I know you got that Cliff bias.
Yeah, but I looked at this pressure to sack ratio stuff, which is always a red flag, and so there was stuff I didn't think. I didn't think that not many people thought he was going to be that good, but I was more of a seller than most. But their defense, I mean, last year they were so unlucky. They went 2-6 in one possession games, minus 16 turnover margin. They had 34 turnovers. They were dead last in special teams. That's worth noting. Special teams cost them a couple games. They overhaul that entire unit. They bring in John Fossil, they were dead last. So my metrics by a wide margin. So Fossil's a very good coordinator, could fix that unit, that stuff in the margins. I thought Wilson did a good job as DC in his first year. There's some pieces to work with there. You have Sweat and Simmons up front. And I mean, he does some good things with his nickel packages. I actually like Brownlee and McCreary. It's Snead. You got some veteran safeties. Snead is just he's a figment of our imagination now.
Yeah.
Just not
the new Adoree Jackson.
And they don't have great depth there. So that, you're probably going to have to go.
That's the story of the team, I think.
Yeah. They got to stay healthy. There's not a lot of depth here. Linebacker is very concerning. But yeah, I mean, I think offensively, they're going to be better just because it's not Will Levis giving the other team the ball. And Cam Ward definitely gives them higher upside. And the offensive line should be improved. I think they overpaid for Dan Moore, but they're much better off at tackle. Latham moves to right tackle where he's much more comfortable and a way better fit. And they bring in Zeitler, who's a good right guard. And Skoronski has shown some flashes, and Cushenberry coming back from injury. Last year, their offensive line was so bad. Their quarterback was so bad. There was just nothing they could do. Bill Callahan, still the offensive line coach. I trust him to figure this out. So I think the offensive line is trending up. Quarterback will be better. The weapons, Lockett is probably he's on the decline, but he can be a nice veteran guy in the locker room and just get some third down catches for Ward. But the guy that I like who might start. Is Iomanner going to start?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to start week 1, but I have him projected to be like the starter over the season because he's just what is he going up against Van Jefferson? He'll win that.
I would also put out. I would also. I don't even know he's going to make the team, but I'm a Restrepo truther. I would put him out in the slot and sometimes, but NFL teams like he just doesn't have the measurables. But that guy just gets open. There's certain guys like that. But anyway, like so they have enough weapons and guys in the backfield for this to be a decent offense, assuming Ward is not a disaster. But like, what's the floor is? It cannot be worse than last year. So, having said that, I don't necessarily see them winning the division, but I wouldn't hate if anyone wants to take a little flyer on them. But I did bet they're over. It's one of the biggest edges that I show. You can get over 5.5 minus 145. I project them closer to like 7 wins.
Yeah.
So I bet they're over. And I'm ready for more Titans pain.
Yeah, oh my God.
Last year.
No.
But this division's pretty close. Like I projected Texans 9-4, the Colts 7-4, the Jags 8, and then the Titans around 7. So like a couple injuries, 1 possession game luck, turnover luck. You could find yourself right there. Another thing worth mentioning for the Titans, their schedule gets much easier this year for their offense and their defense, I think, based on just like looking on how I think it plays out. And then you get like Cleveland and New Orleans at the end of the year. Who knows where those 2 teams will be? Like, they could just be walking corpses playing God knows who at quarterback. They start at Denver, which isn't easy, and then they host the Rams. They're at Houston early, at Arizona. I like that. Like their hardest games are early. So with so much change in a rookie quarterback, I actually like that. Like get the harder.
Yeah, get it out of the way. Go 0-4. Just go from there.
But the Rams week 2 at home.
Colts week 3 at home. They can start 2-1.
Yeah, like especially with Stafford uncertainty. So then you have Indy with the Daniel Jones situation, and so we'll see. Tough schedule to start though on paper. Then there's some winnable games here. Like, so I like them to go over.
Yeah, I think the Titans are a better bet. Just like on that kind of like I don't love them long shot as much because I think the team is still like injuries are going to happen. And I look at like Dan Moore, Latham going to right. Like these guys have been. I mean, Dan Moore's like average at best. Latham still has to show it, and then Zeitler. Wasn't he banged up in camp already? So like this could quickly devolve into a bad situation. If Ridley's not there, I think their weapons are horrible. Because I mean, you're still talking about rookies all over, or just washed veterans. Like it's either guys like Imanar and Restrepo, or it's like Van Jefferson and Tyler Lockett. I like Gunnar Helm, the tight end, though. I think he's good, but I think the secondary could still be bad. I think the line is just whack. I just think everywhere is lacking depth. I mean, you already see Tyjae Spears, he's going to miss some time. And last year, they ran Tony Pollard, I think, too much. He dropped off a little bit down the stretch. And they didn't really re-up in the backfield either. So I wonder if they're going to go a little pass heavier this year because they really added at receiver mostly. But I don't think the weapons are that great, at least are going to be that great right away. So I think there's just a lot of fragility there, but I do think they're a better team than the market's giving them credit for. And I think just playing the Colts and Daniel, if it's going to be Daniel Jones, it might go from Jones to Leonard if Richardson's off the roster, because I don't know if Jones can hold that job. So I think there is some value there, but I think the Jags are a much better play for like playoffs, long shot for division and all that. All right. Let's go AFC East. Stuck. Last time we talked, I know you were high on the Bills. Let's start there. The Bills, I have them projected for the most wins in the league. Now they still have these like weird issues that I feel like they don't have to have these issues, but they somehow have them, which are, I still think the receiver room is shaky, and when you're going up against the best teams in the AFC, you're going to want to be able to have your passing game at your full disposal. And I thought in the playoffs last year, they kind of went a little run heavy, maybe because of that. And I don't know if it got better. And safety could be an issue yet again as well. But this division is not going to be good outside the Bills. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? Are they just going to – I think they get the 1 seed. I think they have the best path to the 1 seed. Do you still feel that way, or are you concerned about any of the receivers or the safeties or anything like that?
I mean, I'm not afraid. The Bills did get lucky last year. They were one of the best teams in the NFL. But, I mean, like, you want to talk about turnovers? It's the team that benefited most from turnovers more than any team in the league. They forced 32. This is a bottom feeder defense if you remove turnovers from their advanced stats. The secondary was so poor. Now, I like their draft, and they addressed the defense in the draft.
Yeah.
They brought in some guys in free agency. Like the front seven is now deep. Linebackers got to stay healthy, but my concern is the secondary, the safety position, corners. I'm not sure. Trey White, I love him. He's awesome on Hard Knocks, but I'm not sure how much he has left in the tank. They need Hairston to hit. And like their safety position is still, you can't have DeMar Hamlin out there. Teron Johnson even had a down year, but you still trust him at nickel, and Benford is good. But like that other corner spot, the safety spot, is it going to cost the Bills a playoff spot or the division? Probably not. But like that's what has burnt them in the playoffs. Like that's what's burnt them against the Chiefs. And that's just going to be the question all year. It's like, how does this secondary come together? My only concern, but they were very lucky. It's like my two concerns for them are like to turnover regression, but like that might cost them a couple wins. Like I project them 12.2 win total sitting.
They're easily like the most.
The schedule is so easy. All their hard games are at home. They don't have like any back-to-back road spots. Like it's the schedule is very, very easy for a team that won their division. They had extreme fumble luck. They were such turnover merchants on defense. So like turnover regression is a bit of a worry. Like if you wanted to go over, 12 and a half, I could see them having like a poor turnover, just that bounces back and then, costs them a couple games and they finish like with 10 or 11 wins, probably still win the division. But that would be my concern for the win total over. And then also their injuries. Like they were really healthy on offense last year, and they've been really healthy for 2 straight years, their offensive line. And their offensive line is really good, and they rely on that offensive line. But they basically don't miss any starts the last 2 years. So like that would be my concern is like, do you lose a couple guys in the offensive line and the depth is not great. So like just some of that stuff on the fringes. This is one of the best teams in the NFL. You have Josh Allen. Everybody eats on offense. So like, yeah, I'm not worried about the offense with Allen, barring injuries. And then the defense is just all about the secondary. But this team should be in the mix for the 1 seed. And like they don't lose at home. They've lost like 2 games in the last 4 years at home. And that's going to be huge for getting that 1 seed, getting the tiebreakers over the Chiefs and the Ravens, like getting that highly coveted bye. And they host the Ravens week 1, and they host the Chiefs week 9. And in between there, it's the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Pats, the Falcons, the Panthers. Like they get that win against the Ravens, and a lot of people are going to be talking about they're going to be 7-0 hosting Kansas City. You get to 8-0 with wins over Kansas City and Baltimore already. And then the rest of the schedule is pretty manageable. Then you're going to be in the driver's seat for that 1 seed, which is huge. But yeah, the concerns of the secondary, health, turnover regression, but one of the best teams in the NFL. I have them power rated second.
Yeah, I think they're a regular season team. Their win total, I think, is still very. It's 12.5 is still like, I just don't think I wouldn't bet any win total over 12.5. So they're kind of overpriced, but none of these concerns I think are big regular season concerns. I think their biggest concerns come in the playoffs because their receivers, I still don't think they can beat man coverage consistently. Their weak links at safety are gonna get exposed. And to your point about offensive line health, same thing. If you can't beat man coverage and you're gonna rely on the run and you got a banged up O-line, that's gonna be a problem. But in the regular season, I'm not worried about them. I just think that it's tough to bet over 12.5. And I mean, you can weigh what 330 for the division, but the Patriots, they could get frisky. I'm not a believer in the Dolphins, but the Patriots, I liked them early in the offseason.
I'll mention before we go to the Patriots,
yeah,
they go over 12.5. Like you could have, like, say Allen is out for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
you have some of this turnover luck flips and you lose a couple games that you shouldn't, and then also there's a chance that you could be 12-4, which is an unbelievable year, and then you beat the Ravens and Chiefs, and you have the 1 seed locked up, and you sit guys week 18 versus the Jets. And that's like a home game against the Jets. You're looking at the schedule and you're projecting it. Like that's counting close to a win. So like you might not have that game, and that could just, so like, yeah, I have no interest in going over 12.5.
Yeah, I think for the Bills, I want Super Bowl tickets. I want conference tickets. I want 1 seed tickets. Because, to your point, you start off, you beat the Ravens, the price, it's already high, but the price goes up even more. And it could be up even more. And if they lose, maybe you just add a little bit more after the Ravens game. So I still want them to finally get over the hump, those kind of tickets, because they're going to run through the regular season and a lot of stuff could sort itself out and guys could pop that, they drafted all defense that could just pop off and mitigate, some of the concerns there.
And they have a couple guys suspended that they added that they'll get back after 4 weeks.
And you are a little deeper at wide receiver in the sense that, Coleman could take a step forward. You did sign Palmer. He's got to be better than washed up Cooper at this point, I think. And then, Elijah Moore, if he makes the team, which it looks like he is, he still has some talent. I mean, his issue's never really been talent. So things could come together better than they look even now. So some of the concerns could just be non-issues by the time, the playoffs roll around. And if that's the case, I mean, they'd be a team that ran through the regular season and are set up well for the playoffs. So I want their Super Bowl tickets. I want their conference tickets. I want the 1 seed tickets, but no interest in betting the over.
Yeah, Hairston and Bishop, those are the keys, I think, to their defense this year. Like Bishop's got to be the guy at safety, and then Hairston, as a rookie, it's a lot to ask, but he's got to be the guy at corner to help them. If they can get those two to live up to their potential and peaking at the end of the year, then they're going to have a chance to finally get back to a Super Bowl. But Pat, you want to go Pats or?
Yeah, I want to talk about the Pats because the Pats are a team. When win totals first came out, I was talking to our guy Evan Abrams, and I was saying, this Pats team is going to be a lot better than people think. I think it's the second best team in the division. I still think it's the second best team in the division.
Same.
But the price has gone up, and now you're talking about a win total right around 500 at even money. I do think it could take some time. I love Drake May. I think he could be a star. I think he could even turn other guys into stars. You're already seeing like Chisholm, guys come out of nowhere playing well. That seems to be a staple of these, the old Patriots teams with McDaniels and now Vrabel's there. So there's a lot to like, but you're still talking about a shaky O-line, a quarterback learning another new system that's somewhat complicated, a receiver group that still looks good, like it could be shaky, and is one Diggs injury or aggravation or whatever away from just being very green and learning a new complicated system. So I do think it could take some time. So that's another reason I just like the Bills so much. So what are your thoughts on, are you attacking New England in the futures market at all, or do you think their price has kind of caught up?
Yeah, no, I think they're a bit overvalued. Look, they went out and they spent, and they upgraded their coaching staff, and they went out and they bolstered both sides of the ball. I mean, you look, and last year they were unlucky, and Drake May was a rookie starting quarterback. We know what they were, minus 11 turnovers, bad fumble luck, 3-6 in one score games. They were a ton of injuries. It all started with their offensive. I mean, their weapons were bad last year. Got a little better. I'm not sure how much we can count on Diggs. That's something that needs to be monitored. They need him to be at least like a reliable possession guy and help out May. But May showed enough flashes behind a disastrous offensive line, and it's completely rebuilt. I mean, I think Cole Strange is probably going to get traded. You're going to basically get 4 new starters in Onwenu, who was the only good one last year. You're going to have probably an all left rookie left side of the offensive line. So people are just like, oh, it's good. It's going to be better because it was so bad last year, but we'll see.
It could take time to gel, though. Is what I'm just like a
Yeah,
new. You got new everything essentially.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Like I think it's going to be better, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good. So there's still questions there, like Campbell and Wilson on the left side. Maybe it's Brown, but I think it's going to be Campbell and Wilson. Bradbury at center is, he's okay. Onwenu is decent at right guard, and then right tackle is probably going to be Moses, and Bryan is your swing tackle. So it's gonna be better because last year it's like you can't play guys like Lowe and Jacobs and Jordan and Robinson and so they were getting like they were so bad. I mean, this is one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen when those guys were in there. So they're gonna be better, but how good? Still questions. Still questions about the skill positions or specifically receiver. It looks like they got a hit with Trevion Henderson.
He's going to help a lot because he's going to be able to, I think, you remember those years that James White went from like just like a passing down back to like the best player in fantasy? Yep. Like that could be Trevion Henderson in terms of the usage. So I think he'll help out May a lot just after the catch, split out, chess piece. But you're still talking about when he drops back, like a line that could take some time to gel, and you got to wait for like what, Mac Hollins or, older Stephon Diggs to get open or something like that, or like it's going to be up and down, I think.
Yeah, and we'll see what Kyle Williams can give them. Defensively they should be better. It was disappointing last year. People forget that everyone was talking about the offensive line. The defense last year. I mean, this is a team that finished 30th TBOA offense, 30th in defense. Their defense was not good last year. They had no pass rush, dead last in sacks. But you're going to get Barmore back. You added Milton Williams. You bring in a couple other guys up front. Linebacker, you bring in Spillane, who will be good run defender. Ellis was decent. You bring in Landry, who will help. So they brought in a lot of guys. Their run D is going to be better, and that is the Vrabel specialty. And then that is a good combo to fix that run defense. When we'll see if they can get pressure. I still worry about where's the pressure going to come from? Keon White, he's got to just be kind of the guy. So I still worry about their edge pressure, but their run D is going to be better under Vrabel. And then you have one of the best on paper cornerback rooms.
Yeah, they can cover
in the NFL with Gonzalez, Davis, and Jones. Peppers will help with the run D too, but the other safety spot's interesting. I think Duggar's going to get cut or traded from everything I'm hearing. It might be the rookie Woodson that's going to get that spot from some of the things that I'm hearing. It looks like Duggar's on the way.
Yeah, Duggar looks like he's gone. That's what.
So we'll see that other safety spot, but if I think the run D is going to be fixed, and they have corners who can cover, so that's a good combination. And even if the pressure isn't great, you still you have good cover corners. So I'm also interested. And they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. And last year it was tough. So the schedule gets much easier. They have some positive regression likely coming. The roster's better, the coaching's better. So there's a lot to like, but it's priced in. It's I project them the price matters still. I mean, I project them at 8 wins. So I would lean under. Not gonna. I don't show enough value to go there, but there's also they're all in here, and you should be. May on his rookie contract. There's a chance that do they go get Hendrickson? Do they go get? There's a lot of talk about them getting McLaurin, and that would getting one of those. What are we talking about? Weapons, pass rush. They got one of those two guys. I think it could go a long way. So I think that they're overpriced, but I'm not betting against them. Mainly because I'm also low on the Jets and I'm low on the Dolphins too. But I'm not betting them to win the division or make the playoffs.
I think they're the best bet too. They're the best betting value to win the division because they're just under plus 500. So
you get plus 550 out there.
Yeah. So I'd rather bet that than the Bills, laying, 300 plus with the Bills. And I just don't really think the Jets and Dolphins have much of a chance. So I do think they're the best value, but yeah, they're priced in terms of the median and the win total. I still think they'll hover around 500. Now May could change that, but I just worry about when you have receivers kind of like all young and all kind of new, and then except like one or two of them are old and kind of a little past it. Like Matt Collins is not really changing anything for them, and Diggs, you're relying on him a lot. I think that's going to take some time, and the O-line is going to take time. So like it's kind of a juggling act. But this could be like a Commander's turnaround where Drake
like,
May just
they're rookies hit on the offensive line. You added Henderson. Like if some of these rookies hit, like Williams is a guy, and like Diggs stays healthy. Yeah.
Chisholm might just be it. Like he might just be the guy.
What if they add a McLaurin? All of a sudden you're like, whoa.
Yeah, that's so. I would actually say that's actually a good point. So if you can get plus 550, 5-1, 475, I think they're worth a little bit of a speculative bet to win the division, just because I think the value is there compared to the Bills, which, if something goes, if the Patriots kind of max out and the Bills hit get an injury to the wrong person.
Yeah. Or Allen gets hurt. Like I'm not laying 800 for them to win the division.
Yeah. So it makes sense to kind of see, they could, they have some room, but yeah, ultimately I think they're a clear second, but they do have double-digit win upside. I just don't think I think the median is right around 8.5. And I think the Dolphins, I just don't like what I've seen from the Dolphins. I think this team is devolving. I think McDaniel might be in a little over his head at times, and he's saying all the right things now, but you look at, maybe it's the GM too, but why, of all teams that didn't need to bring in Darren Waller, the Dolphins definitely didn't need to bring in Darren Waller, like a guy who quit mid-season and after you had the Tyreek Hill incidents. Tyreek Hill, I don't think he's going to be the same guy. His yardage got cut in half per game, 112 to 56, and he was healthy. I shouldn't say he was healthy, but he played all 17 games. Wrist or not, like you're going to make an excuse when you cut your receiving yardage in half from one year to another, but he was a generational talent in terms of his speed. That's going to go. So Waddle, never the same player after defenses figured out Tua. And Tua really never the same player. And now the offensive line is so terrible that you have no choice but to get the ball out super quick. So I don't think the offense is going to change a lot from what we saw down the stretch last year. And then on top of that, you traded Jonnu Smith. So one of your weapons to help you run that kind of offense is gone.
So good last year for them.
Yeah. I just don't like anything I'm really seeing from this Miami team to give me any confidence that they're still a threat to, at one point they were kind of still a threat to, they were right there with the Jets. I think last year we were talking about them like, okay, they could be there with the Jets and if the Bills or Jets stumble. Now I think they're a lot closer to the bottom than even the Patriots at this point. So I'm all out of Miami. I'm selling them. I'd go under on their win total. What is it? 7.5. I go under 7.5.
Same. I went under 7.5 plus 130 when we did this early in the year. Like you could have got 8.5. I decided to go under 7.5 plus money just because I think the floor is really low. Now there's a lot of winnable games on the schedule, and you get Indianapolis to start. You get New England. Like we just talked, there's a lot of moving parts. You have the Jets early. You're at the Browns week 7. Who knows who they'll have a quarterback. You're home against the Saints. So
yeah, this is a team like those teams, though, to me.
I know. So if you look at their schedule, it could be scary. And I project them like around 7-4. So like numbers wise, I don't show a ton of value anymore. But I still would bet the under. I think this is a volatile. I think this could completely blow up. I could see Hill just being like, I'm out, tweeting like I'm out. And
he's already got this mysterious injury that they said, McDaniel said he was taking every rep. And then we figured out that he had this injury that if he took more reps or tried to play, he would suffer a long-term injury. So that tells me like there's just like oversight going on throughout the organization where why is Hill even being able to take all these reps in the first place if he's hurt? And to the point where now you're saying we have to hold him out or he's going to get injured long-term, which that's not something you hear often. So
there's so much downside risk for this team. Number one, so like starting at the quarterback, Tua, concussions. Very
one
likely
concussion
time. Then all of a sudden you're talking about Zach Wilson, the Tyreek Hill situation. A-Chain, by the way, now dealing with like a calf injury. That's scary.
Mm-hmm. Not ideal.
And then like you replace Jonnu, who's one of your best players, like with Darren Waller out of retirement, out of his rap career.
He just started practicing. He got signed like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't even know their other tight end is Farrell.
Julian Hill.
Julian Hill. So, and then your offensive line is a disaster. I mean, like, yeah, there were injuries last year, but your left side is brand new. Patrick Paul, I'm not a fan of. He's got to hit at left tackle, and
he was bottom 4 of 81 graded tackles at PFF last year. 78th of 81.
And then you got, Sabanea at left guard, and it's a disaster. And then you go to the defensive side. Yes, the defensive line could be very good, and linebackers are good on paper. You have Chop Robinson, and guys coming back. We'll see if they're healthy, but Chubb and Phillips basically didn't play last year, and then Sealer. You added Kenneth Grant, so like the front 7 has potential. It should be decent against the run. They can get some pressure, but who's stopping anyone in the secondary? I mean, you got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's on the decline. He's wide. You give up Ramsey, that net loss there. And who are your starting corners? You lost your only decent one to a season-ending injury in what's his Cater? I always forget his name. Kohu.
Cater Kohu.
He's out for the year. Who your starting corners right now might be, and Mike Hilton he's probably your only one. And you're like, okay, but he's not getting any younger. Storm Duck, Kendall Sheffield might start. Like, this secondary is probably the worst in the league. The offensive line is arguably the worst in the league. Those are not two good places to be at. I think this team is managed so poorly. I wouldn't be surprised they finished like 4-13.
Yeah, I would go under 7.5. I would go under 6.5. You get plus 150. Yeah, exactly. This team has a very low floor. They're worst at the places that they can't afford it, like tackle. If you got Tua, tackle, and then their skill guys are getting hurt left and right. Even though some of the front 7 guys are getting hurt. So, and then their secondary is even if you can score because maybe Tyreek turns it around or Waddle bounces back, or Tua stays healthy and you can score, your secondary is just going to get torched. So,
yeah, and if they're cooked late in the year, you think this Miami team's going to have any interest in going outdoors in December to New York, Pittsburgh, and New England? 3 outdoor games late in the year up Northeast? Probably not. So, yeah, I'm out on Miami. All the way out.
Yeah. The Jets, Justin Fields at quarterback. You got Aaron Glenn. I mean, there could be a culture change at least, but I think the best thing the Jets got going for them is that Miami's also in this division. What do you think about the Jets? I mean, their defense will be solid, but this offense could be a little rough.
Yeah, the Jets, they're just, I feel bad for Jets fans. It's like, they're just, what is the best case scenario for the Jets this year? Like, what do you, like, I
8-9?
8-9, like, yeah. So, like, they bring in Fields. We know who he is. He's an electric runner, can't really throw it. The offensive line, if, like, Membu and Fashanu hit at the tackles, could be decent. And then I assume they're going to rely on their running game, which should be pretty good if this offensive line hits with Fields and their backs in an offensive line that's trending up, I think. But, like, everyone's just going to stack the box. Who are you throwing to? It's just Garrett Wilson. How many? I mean,
yeah, he's going to get so much coverage.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting because with the running backs, it's like, yeah, in theory, their running backs should be good, but Breece Hall's always been a better receiver than a runner. He's had like a couple of long runs that have kind of, outside of those, he's been very kind of,
and Fields doesn't really fit with
underwhelming.
Like, Lions Engstrom offense and what they want to do, like get rid of it quick. And
Tyrod Taylor's already hurt, so he might. Who knows if he's even going to be an
Adrian
option?
Martinez, baby.
Yeah. Right.
Brady Cook. I think he's.
Yeah.
Is he on the? I think he's on the roster.
Yeah.
Defensively, yeah. I mean, like they added Harrison Phillips because they were pretty weak in the middle, so I think it was like a decent get, just like raise the floor of the defensive line. We'll see when Johnson's available. Like, I don't know. I think their defense got worse, but they could bounce back just like because their secondary just had a down year. Like Sauce Gardner had a down year. We'll see what Aaron Glenn can do there. I mean, after Salah left, they just fell off a cliff. And yeah, the coaching should be better overall. The culture should be better as well. But like they added Brandon Stevens, who I'm not a fan of. So like I think they downgraded CB2. Safety like Cisco, like I don't know. But Carter and Garner could bounce back, and you got some talent on the front side. So the defense could be decent, but like this team just bored. And their special teams could be better too. Like their special teams last year were a disaster, just kicking wise. So they can't be worse there. But yeah, I think their defense should be a little better. Sauce Gardner will probably travel more against opposing ones. I expect him to bounce back, but like I'm not sure the fit of like this offense with Fields, and they don't have the weapons, and just a boring. I project them at 6, so like I show a little bit of 6-1. I show a little bit of value in the over, but I have absolutely no interest in betting them. And
yeah, it's one of those situations where I'm always a little more wary of the defensive head coaches, because I just think, offense is obviously more important in the NFL. If you have a quarterback already, like if you have Joe Burrow or something, I don't mind it as much. But when you're talking about Justin Fields, I just feel like sometimes the offense just gets like, it's like the head coach needs to have a grip of the offense too. And already some of the things are just kind of, all right, this offense might, it's Tanner Engstrom coming over from Detroit where he worked with Ben Johnson, but Justin Fields is your quarterback. You're already talking about either trading or using your best player less, which is Breece Hall. You have no receivers. You're just bringing in all the old, Detroit / like McVay guys like Tyler Johnson and Josh Reynolds. You don't really have anything there. You're like tight end. Who knows? I mean, Taylor, maybe he's good, but yeah, I just think the offense, when you have when a defensive head coach like Engstrom could have just been getting by on Johnson. Who knows? Because I don't like the way this offense is setting up necessarily.
Yeah, there's a lot of they play a lot of really bad teams, and like you play the Browns after your bye at home. Like who knows who will be starting a quarterback? You host the Panthers. Like there's this. You're at New Orleans. The Bills the last week of the year could be a free win. But you play Miami twice, who were low on as well, and you could get the Steelers week 1. But the thing that I worry about with the Jets is that we just talked about what they want to be, just run the ball. That's Fields' strength. When they play the Dolphins, like the Dolphins' run D should be decent. Like, can the Jets actually take advantage of the Dolphins' secondary, which is their biggest weakness? I'm not sure. Now, they'll get them at home, like in the cold late in the year, and I think the Dolphins will be dead. But that does worry me a bit, is that, like, I don't think that the Jets are, like, the last team that can take advantage of where Miami is weakest. So just throwing that out there. But summarize for me, AFC South, I played the Titans over, and I like some Jags upside. Not Super Bowl, but like division playoffs, and I played the Jags over as well. Nothing else there. AFC East, I played the Dolphins under, and that is it there for now. But all Dolphins hate all the time on this podcast.
Yeah, I like the Bills for winning the big tickets, Super Bowl, conference, 1 seed. Dolphins fades, alt unders under 7.5. Anything you want, really. Miss the playoffs. I mean, you'd have to weigh like minus 250, but I don't mind it. If you can get an exact finish, I like Bills, Patriots, Jets, Dolphins. I think that's kind of still what's expected, except just a flip of playing into the Dolphins bottom falling out there. But that's it for the AFC East for me. And then Jaguars, everything. Alt win overs, win total over, make the playoffs, win the division at 3-1. And then Colts fades. Daniel Jones fades. And I think the Titans are the second best. I haven't bet the Titans to win the division, but if you're looking for a value, like a value outside of the Jaguars, maybe, the Jaguars are getting talked up a lot in certain circles. So if you're trying to fade that too, I think the Titans are the bet. In the AFC East, I think if you're looking for a long shot, it would be Patriots to win the division. You could get 5-1 or better. I think they would be the team if the Bills slipped up. I think they would be the only team that has a decent shot. I just think there's a big gap after them, between them and the Dolphins and Jets. All right, that is going to wrap it for today's episode of the Action Network Podcast, Part 1, AFC Preview 2025. Stuckey, Chris, Raybon here. Thank you for tuning in. Keep an eye out for Part 2. We'll go over the AFC North, AFC West, and then NFC will come after that. Stuck is on X at Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this money.
Let go.